The Passionate Leader, because leadership without passion is just a title.
Meeting. We got a collapse in the garage. Get the squad back equipment in here. We got an I-beam gone to a firefighter.
Get that out, urgent, transmit a second along.
This is where titles end and leadership begins. Ask yourself, what happens when a firefighter spends decades learning how to lead others through chaos, but never learns how to slow down long enough to take care of their own mind? This week's guest is somebody who has lived both sides of that reality. CJ Dickinson started in the fire service as a junior firefighter at just 16 years old and has spent more than 26 years building a career rooted in leadership, accountability, training, emergency management, and service. From the fireground to the boardroom, CJ has led through pressure, managed complex operations, developed people, and stayed committed to one mission, making the people around him better. But this conversation goes deeper than titles and certificates, because CJ is also willing to talk about the side of leadership that many people still avoid: severe depression, cumulative PTSD, the cost of waiting too long to ask for help, in the moment when standing at a vehicle fire with entrapment before the engine first arrived, when another officer asked him if he was okay, and for once he answered honestly, no. That single moment says a lot. We talk about coaching, mentorship, mental health, resilience, and why keeping your mind right might be one of the most important lessons any firefighter can learn before it's too late. This conversation is about growth. It's about reflection, about learning that strength is not pretending you're fine when you're not. And maybe most importantly, ask yourself, if someone checked on you today, would you actually be able to tell them the truth? Welcome to The Passionate Leader, CJ Dickinson. Thanks for coming on.
Dude, I don't know where you brought all that stuff up. That was like some AI magic without a doubt. Because I did not write that.
No, you gave me one of the better bios that we normally get, but I do use a little AI to help kind of take everything that everybody puts in, because like I've said to every guest, we're all really humble individuals, and guys need a good gut punch, intro, almost like, like a wrestler walks into the wrestling ring and they get their walk-in song. So it's kind of like your walk-in song. So you've been in the fire service for a very, very long time. Why don't we kind of walk through how what made you want to do it at 16, why you're still in it today, and what keeps you passionate?
Yeah, great questions. So I had a bunch of friends that were doing it, and they were busting my stones. Hey, come to the firehouse. And I went to the firehouse, May of 99. And, yeah, that's where the story began, way back at 16 years old, and caught the bug very hard. Started shifting away from, playing sports to spending all my time at the firehouse. And I think you said it before, and I used it last week. If anybody wants to fight me that my junior time doesn't count, I'm in, right?
Right, buddy.
Because at 16, we were making pushes on things that, now we know better. Right. But we were making pushes on things that we definitely shouldn't have been in. But yeah, we were out there doing it. So ran volley, just straight volley up until, 2002, 2003. Figured out I had to get my EMT to get hired anywhere, and started working EMS, and then transitioned down to the Outer Banks of North Carolina in 2005. Worked Nags Head Fire Rescue for a while. Great combination department down there in the Outer Banks. And then transitioned to the Department of the Army, back up in Jersey. And kind of bouncing around between divisions, Army, Navy, and a little stint running a small EMS agency in the Poconos for a couple years. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's, deeply rooted. But I think ultimately, like, here's the big story. Here's the story that nobody's heard before, except for maybe a couple people. When I was 7 or 8 years old, I got caught playing with matches. Right. And a very close family friend of ours, Uncle Bucky, Bernie Licata. He was a battalion chief from West New York, New Jersey. They they sat me down with the photo album and had the talk. And the photo
Okay.
album, I think we would get in trouble nowadays if we pulled that photo album out and we
Sure,
looked at
sure.
those photos. Uh, but yeah, so I think it actually really truly rolls all the way back down to 7,
Mm.
8 years old when I was caught playing with matches. So
They they had the junior what do they call it, the juvenile youth firefighter program situated before there was even such a thing. That's fantastic.
yeah, I don't know that it was the same. God
It was
rest his soul. I wish he was still around to have that conversation with
oh yeah.
did you really was there intent on that with what you showed me? Because here we are, 27 years later,
Yeah.
with a magnificent career and its own
Mm.
challenges and successes.
Well, you hit something that I know it took me up until probably hell, man, probably 5 years ago to really accept the fact that you do need, more than just institutional knowledge. You said it when you realized you needed to go full time, you needed to get your EMT. And I fought hard, and it cost me, and it's probably still costing me positions to this day where I was headstrong in the I don't need any cert. I have enough institutional knowledge. My working in knowledge base of the fire service will carry me through any job interview process. Well, that's a complete line of malarkey because it doesn't.
Yep,
They
it does not.
there's a lot of value in those certs that I never really placed any on when I was a kid, and it set me up for failure here now in my early 40s where I'm still fighting, putting in for positions that just aren't attainable because I don't have the certs that they're looking for. Or if they keep pushing me through, it's like, man, you're really, really good, but this other guy has what we're looking for, XYZ. It is what it is. So the moral of the story for all of our listeners and viewers is get the damn certificates, get your degrees, get it early. If you want to be in the fire service, get it when you're young. That way you can be a damn doctorate, have your doctorate in the fire service by the time you're our age, because it'll serve
I
you
think
well.
it's amazing that you're bringing this up. I don't know if you know Dr. Ben Stone. He is from the CPSC that handles all the accreditation stuff for candidates. I had the privilege back in 2015 to go to the National Fire Academy with him, and we connected. I think at the time he was the training chief down in Los Alamos, New Mexico, and we kind of stayed connected over the years. But back during the government shutdown, I spent my time during the government shutdown to chase my CFO through CPSC, which was an insane process. And I'm incredibly grateful that I had the connection with Dr. Stone, reached out, walked me through it. But he just posted an article today on LinkedIn around the fact that we call this a profession, right? And it's kind of weird to call him a doctor now because when we first met, he was just finishing up an associate's.
Sure,
And,
sure.
here we are 11 years later, and now he's a doctor.
Yeah, right.
I'll give him credit on that. But education goes beyond just going to conferences for hot classes and getting certifications, right? Because I think we talked about this with like Fire Officer 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and all those things, right? They check a box, right? Really, where the learning occurs is the networking, the having the difficult conversations, coaching, mentoring, and those likes. So if you have the chance, go check out his article. Maybe I'll just send it over to you so you can tag it in here.
Yeah,
Because
please do.
because it was great. It really drives in this whole conversation of, start early when you can, right? Because before life gets in the way, and as another, your significant others, your kids, and next thing you know, you're doing ball games, recitals, and you want to go do this training, but it's a 10-day training, and the schedule just does not allow for it as you continue to get older. So I know with the guys in my charge that don't have kids yet, I'm after them all the time. If you can go do training, go do training. Stack your certs now, because when you need them, it's too late.
Yeah, and they really don't go bad, other than if your EMT has to be renewed. But hey, there's a lot to be said about that. No, and it's funny. Of all the socials that I play around with, LinkedIn isn't one that I have not really dabbled in yet, but I have to. 'Cause I believe that's where the professionals actually connect. But there's a ton there, and you hit the nail on the head with conferences as far as that's where the networking and things like that happens. So what I did not throw into the bio was that you just were down in Metro Atlanta. So, why don't you kind of walk us through what that experience was like? Getting on the stage, teaching a room, everything that, you know, the behind the scenes from a presenter standpoint versus an attendee standpoint.
So yeah, I think we're gonna have to wind the clock back a little bit
Please
because
do, yeah.
yeah, so you kind of hit on it about my diagnosis stuff, which came out about 3 years ago with the severe depression and cumulative PTS, and that really sent me down a new path, uh, which a lot of it was all leadership focused. Now we've shifted, and we just had an anniversary of a line of duty death that I was on, Sergeant Earl Murray, May 15th, 2009. So this past Friday was 17 years. Typically, it's a hard day for me. And
Mm,
last year, I had just finished up my coach certification through first responder coaching. And I was in my head and I started writing. And what I came to realize last year was that truly to enhance and improve our mental wellness and readiness and resilience and whatever other pop word of the day that you want to throw on it, we need to use fireground principles
mm,
that are already existing, like things that we already know. So I started this as size up within, right? We want to get a good size up on ourselves. We're so used to pulling up on a scene, we can throw a real good size up and identify our priorities, our strategies, tactics, give assignments, all resources. But when it comes to looking internally, we just fail miserably because we
mm,
weren't trained how to do that.
yeah.
So if you talk to some of my inner circle, they will tell you I've been working on perfecting this thing. But a friend of mine had sent me the Metro Atlanta Firefighters Conference, and I was just like, screw it. I got this idea. I threw an abstract at it, and they selected me. I was like, shit, I actually have to put this thing together now.
All right.
Yeah, for a 2 hour session also to boot, right?
Oh,
Like I was like,
yeah,
oh
they gave you a
yeah,
big one. Yeah.
yeah. It was a good one. To get on the stage and actually like present it for the first time, right? I told everybody in the room, I was like, "You're getting this for the first time. I'm giving it for the first time. So, however the cards are going to fall, they're going to fall."
Sure.
I am, I am from up north, so if I start talking too fast, please, please make sure you slow me down. Uh, so, so we got a good chuckle out of that. But really, the true privilege was I was able to have my son with me. He's 19.
Mm.
He's getting ready to ship out, so we had a week of firsts last week. His first
It's
flight,
awesome.
his first MLB game, and then he was so kind to get up at the tail end of the presentation and speak to the room too, from our
Oh,
kids'
that's awesome.
perspectives, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So to really pull it all full circle, right? We talk about all this mental wellness and health and blah 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 blah. We often forget how our families are impacted.
Mm.
Uh, So it was an incredible moment to have him. He called me fat, which I'm glad he did. But evidently, it's happy fat because he's seen this transition. Um, yeah,
Ruthless. I love it.
listen, speak the truth, right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
it's more difficult to maintain lies and all those other things, but part of that slide deck that I have is a very particular picture of us from April 8th, 2023. And that was a point in time where I was probably at my lowest. My phone was on do not disturb. Nobody could get a hold of me. I still continued to show up for shifts like I was supposed to and take care of the crews and all those things. But like the little known thing was nearly a 750 bottle a day when I was off shift. Right.
Mm.
Uh, so it's incredibly empowering to be able to talk about where I was and the
Yeah.
new things that I went into to really get to where I'm at today. And
Mm,
a lot of this I think has been I want to say dumb luck, but it's not dumb luck. It's a lot of hard work, and
mm.
I think we owe it to the fire service as a whole to truly leave it better than we found it. And rather than just talk about the who's the most traumatized or damaged in the room, right? We actually need to talk about the real work that goes into it. And when I tell you this has been work, it's been work every single day.
Good stuff. I'm going to dive down a little bit of a hole, and if it's too dark, obviously we don't need to go down it. But
No,
I
let's go.
I I'm a believer that there is, how can I say this, trauma dumping sometimes. We've talked offline about this. People like to have the most damage in the room, and that's kind of what people get. But we're not really getting the back ends. How I guess, why don't we walk right? Let's go right through your story when you realized that rock bottom was hit. You needed to do something to kind of fix it, and what those struggles were, what you used, so that the listeners and viewers can kind of give them the tools, or what methods worked for you that may very well work for them.
Yeah, the same thing doesn't work for everybody. Let's just
That's a
preface
good
this
point.
right out the
Yep.
front. Really, I didn't. So, like, I'll talk about that April 8th picture. Like, I know where I was at, but I didn't realize how impactful that picture was until also last year, when I learned about ambiguous loss. But this was like, I mean, as I'm sitting here at my desk, I got Dr. Gil Martin's Emotional Survival for Law Enforcement. I got Ryan Holiday. I got John Maxwell. The amount of reading I've done in the past 3 years, crazy. Um, just learning new ways and refocusing my energy. But truly figuring it out was when I was grabbed on the arm and told point blank, "I see you," and that was a significant oh shit moment for me, because nobody's called me out on it.
Mm.
And with that, it was starting to search for a therapist and try and find a culturally competent one. Try and
Hmm.
find your resources that are already pre-vetted. I had to consult my first one. That was terrible. But after I think that, I think
I think this
I
is
think I
supposed
went
to go
through
the
like,
other way.
yeah, right. I think I went through like five or six therapists before I found one that was like, all right, this is
Mm,
working.
yep.
Did some CBT and DBT stuff. Then I was being informally coached. I didn't know I was being coached at the time, but now I know what coaching is. And really, it was the coaching that put it put me on the true upward swing. Right. And this is where that differentiation happens. A lot of the when you go to therapy, therapy is about the past. Right. So you're going back into some of those deep, dark moments that you don't want to engage in, because of all the feelings that it brings up. And
Mm.
where coaching is about the here now and positive movement forward. Like what's something you can do to be 1% better tomorrow. Uh, so
Well, there goes my
huge,
next
huge
question.
difference. Yeah, you're welcome. You should know better than to preload with me, bud. You've learned
I just, I,
already.
bro, I just literally wrote down what's coaching to be a
Yeah,
question, and you took it. No, good stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, keep going. I don't want to cut you off.
No, it's all good. Yeah. So listen, therapy. One of the things that I wanted to get at is I wanted to actually transition into EMDR, right, and that
Hmm.
eye movement desensitization, right, because we want to detach some of those feelings out of the prefrontal cortex and start pulling the memories apart. Not because we want to lose it, but we just don't need the negative side of it, right? And
Mm.
that's a whole other conversation. But one of the wonderful things about our brain is the neuroplasticity of it. Uh, so we can change the feelings associated with the memories. I think Healing for Heroes, with Dan Jarvis, they do this awesome trauma protocol. It's an 8-line protocol. I went through that last year. And as I talked about Sergeant Murray, that was one of the things that we focused on.
Mm.
And this year, I didn't have the same response this year that I've had in the previous 16 years.
Mm.
And that, like I said, like I'm trying it all, right? I want to know, like,
Yeah, yeah.
does CBT work? Does the DBT work? There's tapping, this that trauma protocol with Dan Jarvis and his team, coaching, reframing. Like, I've gone down the rabbit hole, brother. I'm
Mm,
trying it all. So basically, if anybody's looking to find help, find find help. Try different things because you don't know what will and will not work for you because not everybody is the same.
yeah. What I mean, and you kind of on something that I think a lot of us forget about is we talk a lot about vetting the process. And what better process to have to vet than finding a good source of help for yourself? Were there moments in time when, you tried a therapist and it didn't work and you're like, "You know what? I guess I'm just doomed from the day," or were you finally in a headspace while you were searching through the handful of them that you tried that you really were able to kind of keep headstrong during it?
Yeah. So that first one, I was like, a whole lot of f this. I'm out. I'm done. I'm not going through this
Sure.
again. Um, but when right being 20, well, starting my 27th year now, it was all just you just stuffed it. You just moved on to the next thing. In the role that I was fulfilling at the time, I was the union president at the time of our local. Um, I I wasn't going to be the one that went and clicked the button or asked for it,
Mm,
right? Because got to be that strong leader because that's how we were brought up. You just stuff it and move
sure.
on. Um, it took some pushing, uh, and you take an appointment and you feel it out, right? You have the conversation, you start loading it. But now there's plenty of resources out there now that we didn't have before that have already vetted and have on their websites that we focus on first responders. Even in West Virginia, right? Like we've
Mm,
I've been running a project down there, and we've connected with some phenomenal providers in West Virginia, and had some amazing conversations to ensure that they're familiar with first responders and military, right? And I'm going to lump military in because how many people come back from the military and transition into police, fire, EMS, and
sure.
dispatch? It's a
Yep.
significant amount. The other piece to that is, are you familiar with an ACEs score?
No.
Adverse childhood events.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. I feel I've seen something similar to, like an online take a post
Yeah,
trauma test or some nonsense.
yeah. Be
But
prepared
this
when
is
you take
probably
that.
legit. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but like
Sure, sure.
a lot of us in the first responder community too. If you take that ACEs score, you're going to score higher, ironically enough, and it's things that you're probably not even going to realize.
Mm,
And we again take all things into consideration when you find out or figure out that you're ready for help. And most often for us, when we are asking for help, it is actually an urgent need.
mm,
There's not a time window where like, oh yeah, we'll book you an appointment in 4 weeks. Like, no, if we're asking for help,
yeah.
we needed it 2 days ago
Sure.
plus.
Yep.
So plenty to
So
think about there.
yeah, no, that it's all great stuff, and you are completely correct. What works for you may not work for me, or we might get lucky, and everything that worked for you is exactly what I need. It depends on people's personalities, their needs. Um, I have heard. It's funny that you brought up the childhood trauma thing. I have actually heard that people with heavier childhood trauma typically gravitate to this industry, and I don't know if you've heard that before or not. And it I do not remember why, and I'm not sure if you even do. I would surmise it has something to do with we couldn't get the help we needed as kids, so we're trying to be the helpers in our adult life or whatever the case is. That is my and that could be right. Hey, there it is. Look at
That's
that.
it. You answered the question. Thank you for doing the work for me. No, just like that's what it comes down to, right? Is
Mm,
we want to be there in the fashion that we wanted someone to be there for us,
mm,
and now we have the ability to do that thing. Again, like when we talk about this as a compound issue, best way I could describe it, and I'm going to give a shout out for C, phenomenal retired Las Vegas PD lieutenant who I'm connected with. all of our trauma is like as a little dent in your car, right?
Hmm.
So for everything that you encounter, you get a dent, and before you realize it, you're actually driving around in a totaled vehicle, right? Because you don't take care of all that past stuff. You just stuffed it
Mm.
into your little box and put the key on it and moved on to the next thing. But all that little damage builds up over time. Um, and then
That's
when you're in
solid.
a busted, yeah, when you're in a busted up car, you're FUBAR, and it's
Yeah.
okay. It's repairable, right? It's not like you're gonna, send it truly down to the junkyard. It's all repairable, which brings us back to the neuroplasticity of our brains. But
Mm.
it is work.
That's a freaking amazing, and it's super true, right? I mean, or I've always loved the bucket, ideology. Every little bit of trauma, you put a little weight in your bucket, a little more water, whatever the case is, whatever, insert, analogy here, and then eventually the bucket's going to overflow because you haven't dumped the bucket out a little bit. So it's huge. One of the things, ambiguous loss, I have never heard of that phrase before. Maybe I'm just naive and live under a rock. But hopefully for those that heard it and picked up on it too, what the hell is that?
So, I was in Cape Girardeau, Missouri last year, and Dr. Erin Craw, uh, her father was a police officer,
Hmm.
and she had went into her whole study's been on first responders and impacts, and ambiguous loss came out in the 70s actually. So what we're talking about here in ambiguous loss is you might be physically present but psychologically absent. And
Mm.
when I talk about that April 8th, 2023 picture with my son, obviously we can see I was physically there.
Hmm.
I was present physically, but in my head, I was absolutely not there. Uh, the converse of that is we're psychologically present but physically absent. So in this instance, I compare that to being on shift and you're missing a birthday, a holiday, a ball game, a recital, or any of those things where you're on shift and you don't want to be on shift. You want to be physically present with the families. This is why this is that other piece too, where we too often forget about our significant others, sisters, what have you, the family unit, because they experience loss that is different from the loss that we experience out in the field.
Okay. I
So
like
that's
that.
where that ambiguous loss comes into play. And I wrote about it. In, I think a Crackle magazine has it.
Mm.
Mental Mayday, where we touch on that, and I share two pictures from his wrestling career. Right, that April 8th, and then last year on senior night, and just looking at me, you can see it's two different, same person, but two different
Yeah, no, for
psychological
sure.
presences.
Yeah. No,
So
that's and man, sometimes we can be really good about hiding our stuff. It's well, at least sometimes we think we are, but other times, it can be pretty good if we're not reading other people's signs, and it's there's a lot to be said about that. And I'm excited and I'm happy that you were able to see, and somebody was able to, hey man, you're not good. I see you, and you were able to have the ability to go and get the help that you needed and get where you are, and honestly be able to see you be successful. For our listeners, background, CJ will be presenting at our conference in October. A very much so abbreviated to his 2-hour presentation that he gave down in Metro Atlanta, but it's going to be the same, pretty much. I'm guessing an abbreviated version of that program. I would presume, correct?
yeah, we're so unfortunately, a lot that kind of that other hour is interactive stuff.
Okay,
Uh,
sure.
so one of the activities that we have set up is to do a wheel of life. Unfortunately,
Mm.
when we had lunch a couple weeks ago, we didn't get to do that. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, no wheel of life. So yeah, we're gonna run through the slide deck, but some of the activities we're gonna cut down because we're just gonna get through the fireground principles, making your own incident command chart for your mental wellness, right?
yeah. Love it.
Like
Yeah.
What does that look like for you? Because again, fireground principles, we all know how to make a command chart, right? An ICS chart.
Mm, yeah.
How do you repurpose that ICS chart to govern your own wellness?
Mm. There's that I'm excited for it. I think. I mean, we're gonna get amazing presentations, 6 amazing presentations that day. Um, and obviously yours being one of them. And I think a little bit of interaction might not be a bad idea. Kind of keep the people alive on their feet, because if we throw you in the afternoon slot, people might be kind of gut tired if they just had lunch. So maybe some interaction might not be a bad thing if it fits in. I like it. No,
Hey,
that's awesome.
you just gotta let me know how many copies I gotta bring with me, man, and we'll do a wheel and a mini coaching session without a doubt.
Well, yeah, no, that's like the transition. Um, this is good stuff. So, in the intake, you had mentioned kind of one of the things, is how coaching can improve all areas of our lives. So you hit on what the difference between, therapy and coaching and stuff. So, um, if you want, you want to dive deep into, how what go deeper into the coaching. I think we can certainly go a little farther and explain to people, coaching and things like, how that can help them move forward and shit stuff. That
So
slipped out.
yeah, I'm trying to actually be mindful of that too, right? I was Uh, so the wheel of life, basically you draw a big old circle, right? Cut it into a pizza pie. So you have eight little pizzas, and on the outside of it, for each little slice, you write in things about your life that you were thankful for. Career, money, significant other, spouse, significant other, spouse. That's the same thing. Um,
It could
sometimes
be.
I
Depends on your walk of
yeah,
life.
yeah. Well, I know we have seen through the years where people put spouse on one and then the next one over is girlfriend, right? Because you know, um, leisure leisure activities, what have you. The inner point of the circle is a 0, the outside edge is a 10, and then we ask you to rate your satisfaction of each piece from 0 to
Hmm.
10. And ultimately, what you wind up seeing is that wheel is a bumpy ride, right?
Mm.
So from there, what we generally ask is, especially when we're in the room, we're asking people to be vulnerable, number one, and number two, courageous to share what they've scored on the lower end, and then conversely, we ask people to share what they've scored on the higher end. So whoever's courageous and vulnerable enough to step up and raise their hand to a lower one, like say you scored career out of 3 right now, the question would be, all right, well, what would it take to get your career from a 3 to a 3.5? Right?
Mm.
Because we can't expect massive growth overnight. That's just unrealistic on all pieces. So when they share that piece, and then we can start driving into having some conversations and asking powerful questions to get the coachee to give us
Mm.
the answers, because in the coaching relationship, we believe that our partner that we're asking questions has all the answers.
Okay.
What's more important about that piece is when that person gives the answers back to us, they have automatically more buy-in instantaneously. It's their answer.
Mm.
So there, there's a nice transition between mentoring and coaching where they actually wedge together. Ironically enough, yes, they make a complete box when you have both sides of it. Um, but this is why we say coaching will improve all aspects of your life, because it might not be job related that you need to focus on. It might be
Mm.
your personal relationships. So if they're suffering, then we can start diving into having some of those conversations. Um, I wish I had the video from Metro Atlanta, because unfortunately, the two difficult things that I find to coach on are sleep and money, ironically enough. Um, that's what I find. And of course, the guy was like, let's talk about finances. I'm like, man, come on. Like, of all the things you had to pick finances. But
what is it about them that you think makes it more difficult?
what I think about, what I think it makes them more difficult is on those two specific things. It is such a fixed mindset from individuals
Mm. Okay.
it's a significant challenge to ask a powerful question that gets them to shift perspectives to
Mm,
another side of it. So
yeah.
now, you caught that shift perspectives. Really, that's part of the line of questioning, which is not scripted in any way, shape, or form. It's
Mm.
all based on your answers and my listening, paying attention to your body language, your inflection, tone, all the things. Uh, but we get so fixed on it. If we just shift angles even 2, 3 degrees, we might see another side of something that we didn't see before. And you sure you've had these moments. You and I had this moment where I sat you back in your chair a few weeks ago, and you were like,
Sure did. Yep.
right.
And the moment everybody wants to know about never happened on a recorded airway. So it was between you, me, and Paul, man. Right? That was fantastic. It was fantastic.
But so like that was the shift in perspective, right? And it was just the way I listened to everything that you were saying. I took all of that in,
Mm.
formulated the powerful question, asked it. You answered it without answering it, right? You literally sat back and your head went up. That aha moment, boom, done, right? And
Amen,
then
dude.
I think it was about that time I was like, should we tell him? Tell him that he just got coached. Like it just happened.
It was good. Um it's yeah, there are being coached versus being counseled, I guess, is probably what a therapist does, is offer counseling. I don't know appropriate word is, but there was a difference, because I myself have sat through counseling sessions, and you just sort of feel like, you offload your stuff, so it feels good. I'm not talking down to it by any means, and I definitely have sat in where it was extremely beneficial. But what I got when we did this, and hope the listeners can, I'm trying to describe this as best as I can, was I left after we were done for how long was it? Maybe 5 minutes. We were very, very quick, if that. And the immediate shift in my mindset went from in a conundrum, can't really figure out the answer, to a clear path forward. And it was invigorating. It was not something where it was just like, okay, now we're back for another 55-minute session in a week or 2 weeks or a month, whatever the case is. So there's a lot to be said about how coaching definitely works, and I can certainly attest from a personal level that it has. So
And that was
for
completely
those,
informal, and there was no
yeah,
relation, right?
no,
And
exactly, yeah.
so, as I went through the coach certification process, I started using pieces of it at roll call, on
Okay,
shift, right? So one of the things, and I like talking about this because it goes to show how small actions from any level can shift a culture. And the one question that I ask of the crew of my station after every roll call is I go one by one, how may I best support you today? Is the
mm,
question. So they have the opportunity to give me feedback, right? It's not because on shift it's not about me. It's about them. As
right,
much as I
right,
might have a full plate, I still have a crew that's in my charge, and their success, their personal successes, our company's successes, the department, all that
mm,
piece. Uh, so fast forward, it took a while, but one morning I didn't ask the question, and it was one of those days where everything was already gone awry. And the guys actually said to me, they're like, "Hey, you didn't ask the question," and I'm like, up to my eyeballs in nonsense already. I'm like, "What are we talking about?" They're like, "You didn't ask how we can, you didn't ask how we can support you." It's like, "You're right, I didn't." So
oh,
they turned it on me and they said, "What can we take off your plate today, Chief?"
how'd that
I
feel?
was like, that was weird, right? And
Ooh, that
right.
tickles
So,
different.
well, right, but it took time, and we finally hit that point where I think sometimes they might not want to come in my office because they know I'm going to start asking questions, or they're going to. they're gonna bring me the problem, and the old Jocko, good,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
ask a question back, and they're like, "Yeah, well, I would do it. Why do you always do this?" Well, because I'm not always gonna be here to give you the answers, and
Yeah.
you have the power of yes. I'm giving it to you. Like, let's just
Mm.
run it. You brought me a problem, give me the solution. Don't
Yes.
bring me a problem. I'm not the fixer. If I'm the fixer, we got a bigger issue at hand, right?
Ooh, I like that
So
mentality. Mm, I like that.
I think you just talked about this the other day there, bud.
Yeah. No, it you rephrased it differently, so it confused me, but it also tickled the same. Uh,
Oh, it tickled the same, huh?
yeah. I One of the things, there are two things that you've said to me so far, not today, but just in our conversations back and forth is, I forget what we were texting about a few days ago, and it was something. It was either an opportunity or something, or a chance, or it had because your comment to me was, "What is the best that could happen?" And I've never heard somebody say it that way. And it was the immediate, like, the positive in it, because I mean, the typical phrase for everybody, right? What's the worst that could happen? And you flipped one singular word, but it resonated really well because, again, it's like, you know what a positive mentality to happen. What is the best that could happen? You know, let's just say, I'll use my, we're looking at possibly buying our place. What's the best that could happen in the situation? We buy it and we own it. What is the worst? Well, we're not going to think like that because we don't need to. So, and then the other one, I just had to go back. If you saw the color of my face change a little bit because I was going through a different screen. Um, One of the questions we ask in the intake form is, what keeps you passionate about the job? Do you remember what you put on that?
I want to say leave the fire service better than huh?
Keep going. No, you got it. It's how you.
Then it found us.
Yes, there it is. Right. And I quoted that the other day with, it was either on today's episode that dropped, or it was on the live on Sunday night, because again, it was the mentality of, that it's the it puts you in the perspective of still being a steward of the service and not the service having to, almost like the proverbial, John F. Kennedy, don't ask what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country kind of concept. And it's that mentality of, we are stewards and shepherds of the fire service, and we're only here for a little bit. And I've said it different ways, but it was reading it that way that just kind of, so I mean, it's the positive spins that I really appreciate that you put on things. That sometimes I think in a fire service, in a world, in an industry, that I am a firm believer that this can take far more from us than we might ever be able to put back into it. Sometimes we can put a lot back in, but it can take a lot from us, whether it be marriages, families, personal time, peace of mind, whatever the case is. It's good to kind of have that refreshing mentality. I mean, that's good stuff. No, I like that. Um,
It ain't easy.
no, right.
Because our mind is like pre-wired to go to negative right out of the gate.
Mm, right.
So I think the original question is what could possibly go right.
Mm,
Is what I wrote you because I probably say that more often than I should nowadays, even for sketchy ideas. Uh, Instead of the old hold my beer, watch this, right? What could possibly go wrong, transition into what could possibly go right, and it is that perspective shift.
yeah.
And same thing when I think I wrote when the fire service found us. It's not that we were looking for it
Mm,
necessarily, but it swallowed us in the process. And
yeah.
like you said, it can take so much from us on so many different aspects, whether it be your mind, your heart,
Mm,
cancer, the relationships. It just impacts so many different things. So to stay positive is an incredible challenge. But every
Mm.
single day that hits, if you take a moment and hit that pause button and reflect through the day, you can find, you might have to look for it, but you can find at least one positive moment, one
Mm.
positive interaction that would have occurred. And I think I highlighted this with my son while we were in Atlanta. Everybody we walked past to was, "Hey, how you doing?" A smile, a nod, right? And he's
Mm.
like, he couldn't believe how many people were actually being nice back, right? You do that up where we're at,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
you're gonna get, you might be in a fight, but down there
For real.
but it's different. Or waiting that extra 10 seconds to hold the door for somebody coming into a store, right?
Mm.
You don't know what that person's going through, and that extra 10 seconds that you spent holding the door, that might have been that one positive moment in their day, and we don't know
Yeah.
that.
No, that's such a good
So,
point. Did now your positive is some of that a byproduct of going through your reformation with coaching and counseling and things like that, or has that kind of been there, just a little marred, if through through the PTSD and stuff like that?
that's a deep one. I'm gonna say that it's probably kind of really reared its head in the last 2 years.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so, and I mean that in the most positive sense possible when I say it reared its head. Uh,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. There are still significantly challenging days where you don't want to get out of bed and you don't want to go to the next thing. But to remain and focus on positive, because bad shit's going to happen, right?
Mm.
Every single day, you don't know what turn is going to happen. Something's going to muck up. And I think we touch on this in the slide deck, right? Command the day before it commands you.
Mm-hmm.
Set your priorities. Focus on those. As I sit here with my iPad notes open, like I have a preformed um, journal too to do at the end of
Mm.
the day, where I've gone in and handwritten my own prompts. I think I shared with you version 1 of a prompted journal. Version 3 is quite amazing. I gotta kick
Yes.
that over to
Yep.
you for a look. But like, focus on 3 things: clarity, actions, and next steps.
Mm.
And we're gonna do this in October. We just did it last week, so we'll give it to everybody today. It's CAN, right? Our CAN radio report. We're all used
Mm.
to hearing that: conditions, actions, needs. Again, repurpose that into something that's a little bit different. Where when we're looking at clarity, we need clarity on the day, and my clarity on the day starts tonight, right? So
Mm.
I'm going to be looking at tomorrow to see what does the calendar look like, what are the priorities that are already at hand, what actions have already been taken. We'll roll in what actions have already been taken, what actions need to be taken, and then what are the next steps to continue on in that process. So we're going to go over that, because I think simplifying that process or into a short radio report
Mm.
for doing that size up within and maintaining positivity, right? Because it actually helps me maintain the positivity piece too on a daily, because it is such a quick self check in that you can do.
Mm.
Is We said this before: is you hit that pause button, take a closer look at it, and sometimes that tactical pause is everything
Mm.
that you could possibly need in the moment to get clarity on where it is that you're at, and what have you done in the past that's worked, what have you done that doesn't work, right? Because if you know
Mm-hmm.
you've tried something that didn't work, don't try it again.
Good
Right.
point. Right. Yeah. We don't do it in the fire service, so why would you do it in life, right? I mean,
It's
sometimes we do. We'll be real with ourselves. So sometimes
yeah,
we do,
yes,
yeah. Like I will look at you smash your thumb with a hammer, and I'm like, I don't think that really hurts, and I'll do it myself, and I'm like, oh yeah, that really does
yeah.
hurt. So I mean, we
I
can do
forgot how
that
bad it was.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Let's do it again.
yeah. What could possibly go right?
You miss and you hit the board instead of your thumb, right? I
Or
love
your
it,
buddy
dude.
gets a really good laugh at it.
That's a good, that's a solid point. I took one for the
Yeah.
team. I knew I was going to do
Yep.
this, but that's what could go right is you got to, I'm always forgiving people with chuckle. So what the hell?
Yeah.
So I, you talking about looking at the gear, I mean, so your shift is a little different than mine. I'm the Monday through Friday administrative kind of guy. You have rotating shift. Have you ever found, and this is actually just me asking a question. So I'm very, um, I want to say disconnected, but I'm really good at, as soon as the day is done, like I accidentally brought my work phone home with me today. I didn't mean to, not even in the least, because usually it stays on my desk. Um, have you ever found, the night before going into work that, you've inadvertently stressed yourself out more by looking at what you had on the schedule for the next day, or is that offer or does more peace come from that than the added uncertainty?
What, yeah. So I'm on a 4872, and
Okay.
then the guys on the floor, they work a 48, 48, 7 group system with 4 and 8 day breaks.
Mm,
So those of us that are battalions and higher work a different schedule than the floor does. So
okay.
we get a mix where, my day one may be their day two, and then every so often we'll get it where we're on day one and day two together. Routinely though, whatever's on the schedule for tomorrow is going to change by the time we hit roll call at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So
Sure.
sometimes it truly doesn't matter if I look at the schedule. At least I have some situational awareness. But one of the things that I strive for, and this goes all the way back to when I was in Nag's Head, because I effed up and was like 4 hours late for a shift. Um,
Jeez. Okay.
yeah, I'm typically an hour early to shift. So
Yep. Big demerits
yeah, so
that day.
oh, it was massive on probation too. Like, thank God, Captain
Oh.
Kenny. Yeah, Captain Kenny. Yeah, he saved my tail to say the least. But
Yeah. Sounds like it.
oh, he did. So that's traveled through the past oh crap 20 years
Mm,
of getting to shift an hour early, right? Because that gives me time to put a uniform on, shave if I haven't shaved, have
mm,
coffee with the crew, check emails, see what the schedule looks like, adjust the roster if necessary. So get a good pass on from my counterpart.
mm.
So I don't let it stress me though, because everything's a moving target, and it doesn't matter whatever we could have planned. The bells go off, and we're off to something completely different that was unplanned. So
Yeah. Yep. That's what another cortisol dump. That's all it is. We just live in a cortisol issue is all we do. No, dude, this has been so battalion chief now held, I'm assuming ranks in between. What has been in your career so far your favorite position in the fire service? I ask this one forever. I don't know why you expected it's anything different. I ask everybody this one. And there's another one coming too that I ask everybody at the end.
uh, you know, so I think in my battalion role, it's interesting because I can be riding the right front seat of the squad or the
Mm,
rescue, and by rescue I actually mean like a rescue truck, not an ambulance. Just want to make sure that's clarified.
yep.
Um, to riding the car. So I don't know. I'd probably have to say the battalion role has been the favorite because I'm that mid
Yeah.
level
Okay.
leader, right? Uh, Secondary to that was probably the union president, because we were able to do quite a bit of things for the local. Yeah, probably
That's
battalion.
good.
I'll go with
I like
battalion.
it. The way that we're set up here, we're super very, very similar actually. I mean, I just it's deputy instead of battalion, but it's only myself and the chief during the day. So I can either be chauffeur, I can be officer. If I really want to toss a wild card in there, I'll put my ass in the back of the truck, and that really throws everybody for a loop because they're like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "Get on the front seat, let's go." I don't feel like doing that. I want to be a backstepper today. That's good stuff. Before we do wrap up, is there anything else that you wanted to hit today? To expand on more or anything like that before we close things out for the night?
Uh, yeah, if you don't have a mentor, find a mentor. Uh, yeah, I think JP hit it when we had him over B1C. Vet the process. Doesn't have to be within your department, and ironically enough, it doesn't even have to be in the fire service, right?
Hmm.
Mentors can come from anywhere, whether it's formalized or informalized, and explore coaching. Right. If you want to know more about coaching, I'm sure JP will drop my email out there, or you can go out check out first responder coaching. They have some options available out there too. But yeah, coaching is an amazing tool, and it will certainly improve all aspects of your life.
Yeah, I will drop in the video. I'll put a little subtitle on there with your email, and I'll drop it in the show notes for those that want to and look into it, guys, because it's amazing. It really really is. So, I'll get to the final question that we ask first before we do anything. I appreciate your time, dude. I can't thank you enough. Our friendship that has blossomed over such a very short period of time is it's amazing how genuine it is. And when I say genuine, so I'll give the a little background for the audience. Is the other day CJ sent me a video that I assume your son probably took from down in Atlanta. So when CJ goes, what do you think? And I got immediately, without even really, again, me not giving any thought process to it, I shot to him like, stop reading the PowerPoint. He goes, bro, it was the first time I did it. I'm like, bitch, I'm an asshole. You're right. Yeah, you did great. So it's, you know what? Find yourself, guys, listeners and everybody, find yourself the people that can be open and candid like that, because I meant nothing, even meanly by it. Even if, this was his 20th or 30th time doing it, I would still say the same thing. Like, hey, I can read. I don't need you to read it for me. And I know CJ knows what it was just, you know what I mean? It was just sometimes when you see things that are really good, I'll do it with our marketing specialist for the Fire and Foliage Symposium. She does such a good job. I have to find these little nitpicky things. I'm like, oh, put a comma here, or maybe capitalize that word, or bold this one. So and it's literally just because I don't want her to think I'm not paying attention, because it comes out so perfect. I'm like, that's great. I can't complain with that. So, what I could see of him, guys, I can tell you, really excited. If you want to see an abbreviated version of what CJ is going to do, please look into the Fire and Foliage Symposium. It's happening. So go to first2project.org. We will put a link for that in the show notes as well. But our absolute last question we ask everybody that we have it. So you have a new firefighter walks into your office, or I shouldn't say new, a firefighter walks into your office and kind of lets you know, hey, man, I want to start the journey into leadership in the fire service. What is your one raw, pure, and unadulterated and unfiltered piece of advice?
With a plan.
Hmm. Okay.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna expand on it.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
this happen. Right? I had a guy come in. I want to promote to captain. Cool. How are you gonna do it? Well, that's why I came to you.
Mm.
Wrong answer. Right. Ironically enough, I shared my resume template with this person, and they used my description verbatim in
No,
what they submitted.
sir.
Right.
Oh.
So
Yep.
what I actually did was I was like, hey, go schedule a coaching session
Mm.
with an external coach, go through that, and then come back to me, and then we'll work on the plan. So one of the things that I do with our firefighters, I actually do write a training plan with them where I sit down and I review all their certifications, and then we set some goals from a supervisory standpoint of where you should be targeting.
Mm.
But ultimately, as somebody that's new that wants to do it, you have to have a plan of some sort in your mind already, because then it's truly your plan.
Mm.
It's not my plan, because my plan took me 20 years plus to get to where I'm at. Uh, you can shortcut it, absolutely,
Mhm.
with the right mentor and time. But again, what worked for that mentor may not work for you in this day and age of fire service, right? Because
Mm.
again, let's go back to at 16 years old, we were pushing on house fires when we shouldn't have been. So we can't do those things now. Explore what your resources are locally. You know, know what trainings are available. And aside from that, read books that are not from the fire
Mm,
service too. Read, get educated. We talked about that earlier on. You know, go to Columbia Southern, do some University of Kentucky. Um,
mm.
there's plenty of online schools where you can go and upgrade your education, because at the end of the day, leadership, there's a human piece to that. Um, when I think we talked about this a little bit too often as leaders, we forget and leave out that human piece. But we can't do it for you. You have to do the work, and you get the right mentor and coach in play, and you will shortcut it. But it requires work, and it needs to be your plan, because only your plan is going to set you up for success.
Mm. Pure gold. Pure freaking gold. Awesome, dude. I appreciate it. To our listeners and our viewers, if you were watching on YouTube, thank you so much for sitting down with CJ and I today on The Passionate Leader. If something today stuck with you, please, for the love of the God and everything holy, make sure you don't just sit on it, share it, because that one share might be what saves a brother or sister from walking out of the service, walking out of a marriage, or even walking out of their own life. If you want to be part of a deeper process, follow Passionate Leader across all platforms. Pull up a chair on our Sunday night TikTok lives, where real talk drives real change. And as always, guys, be the leader that you needed when you first joined the fire service. And always remember, lead with passion, serve with humility, and leave no room for bottom feeders. Until we meet again, everybody, stay safe.